Hello and welcome back to Finite Space. We will be continuing where we left off, which, if you recall, is after the group finally had their little... I don't know why I called it little. Their first battle. They faced off against a... It's like a worm monster. And if you saw my recording, then you probably didn't see what that monster looked like because they didn't have that CG in there, which I will superimpose right now, if I remember. Aside from that, though, there was the battle that was going up in space, which involved the Knights, and I believe it was Brute's Knight. Yeah, it was Brute. Who apparently was having some trouble, and he was getting like that feedback from the pain. And of course, our main character here decided, like, hey, I know how to do that. Here, make out with me. And then it's like, oh, that's not cutting it, huh? Let's, how did I put it? Let's have you put your sour cream in my burrito. But yeah, that seemed to work. And it caught everyone off guard, but it seemed to work. Anywho, eventually everything was fine. They got, taken back, everyone was rescued, etc., and yeah, Calbix is fine. Main character is fine. I'm saying main character because I already forgot his name. Corwan. Yeah, Corwan. Anywho, so yeah. What else? Actually, nothing else. Like, we got to see, like, how the cavalry ships look, how they're sort of, like, shot out like bullets. And, like, the swarm kind of reminds me of, I think somebody else mentioned it, sort of like the Ender's Game sort of swarm. The quote-unquote villains, the bad guys, the aliens, whatever, I forgot what they're called. And they behave that way, and yeah. Anyways, so yeah. What else? This version does contain the finished CGs for Brute's and Corwan's scene, but, like, I'm not gonna show you guys that. There's nothing else, I believe. Anyway, so yeah. So without further ado, let us continue in Finite Space. The sun is my enemy. It's the first thought that enters my mind upon waking. The rays of my nemesis have crept through the window. I squint and scrunch my face at the intrusion, but I lose the glaring match. I swing my legs out of bed and then heave myself to my feet. With Osset entering the height of summer, the early mornings are both a curse and a blessing. I splash my face to fully wake up and then look out my window. It's been a few weeks since we got back. We had remained on duty throughout, waiting to be called into action again. However, Raptor recovered before other incursions happened in our sector. We hadn't been given much of a reprieve during the waiting. After our brief and battle analysis, Commander Fenn had given us all increased training exercises. He personally attended a few to assess the pack's efficiency. I always felt his eyes boring a hole into my skull. Maybe he was impressed with our combined efforts against the Butcher, or maybe... I shake my head. No, Brute would not have told him about that. He was insistent that we didn't say anything. Plus, keeping quiet lets Brute maintain his reputation for being able to take the Aegis' damage throughout the battle. During the debrief, we learned of the full extent that Fenn's steed had been damaged. A collision with a plague vessel had sent him off target and ended up with his steed scraping along part of the plague's core ship's outer hull before being able to pull away. The feedback from this throughout the ship translated to a series of sensory stimuli on par with the sensation of Fenn's body being torn into. Brute had felt that, dealt with it. Fenn should have returned to the dropship for repairs, but chose not to disengage. From the footage, it was hard to argue with his combat prowess. I even marveled at the skill that he showed in maneuvering, knowing that he could have taken that sort of damage. Still, I remember what Brute looked like then, racked with pain, at the point of being consumed by it, that made it hard to feel like Fenn's choice was justified. There was 0 civilian deaths caused by the incursion. The results were the best one could ask for, but it would have been different if Finn had stepped back to repair. The what-ifs kept me up more than a few nights, thinking of how every moment of our fight could have played out differently. We assess our choices plenty each day in training, of course. I couldn't say that I would have changed any of the choices that I made. I don't really understand Fen, and I don't condone his actions, but I hope that at least he thanked Brute for dealing with the consequences. Calbex had been strange as well. I thought that we had reached a good point, maybe gotten past some barriers. Outside of training and our evening meals, he often excuses himself rapidly. Perhaps he had been given extra tasks by Fen that are keeping him busy and tired. I sigh as I turn away from the window and then go to shower and get ready. Small steps, Corwan, small steps. I'm just finishing preparing Calbex's meal when I hear his footfalls on the stairs, and then he enters. He looks up from the STIK and appears startled for a moment at me being there. Good morning, Corwan. He awkwardly takes a seat as I bring him his food. I place the bowl down and then remember the honey. I dart back to the kitchen to fetch the jar. Looks like we're running low. The jar is less than a fifth or so full. I've noticed Calbex lets himself indulge in quite the serving when he puts his own on, so this much won't last long. Calbex takes a moment to finish reading a report that made his brows knit together before looking at me, then the jar. The honey. I've been meaning to ask for more from Cannon. You're scheduled to have him lead the training today. Can you ask him to bring some over when he gets a chance? Sure. Yeah, sure. I can do that. I look at the jovial bear on the label, and I can't stop myself from asking. What's he like? Cannon, I mean. Calbex catches my gaze and then stares at the jar for a while before closing his eyes in contemplation. He's a good knight. A good man, really. He's very sociable and friendly, and gets on well with pretty much everyone. He cares. Calbex opens his eyes and looks at me properly for what feels like the first time in weeks. He cares a lot. I've known him since we were squires. Powerful fighter, sure, but he's just as happy in his garden with his bee drones as he is in combat. He sounds nice. He is. He made a point to visit me a lot when he could during my rehabilitation. He's a true friend. We share a moment of silence before Calbex coughs and looks away. I hastily check my own STIK. Yeah, I should. I'm gonna go grab some food since we're in the woods for training. See you later tonight. I practically flee the room and then the house. Why does it feel so awkward all of a sudden? First things first, training, then honey requisitioning. After what Calbex said, I'm really looking forward to today's survival training. I honestly could do with a rest from all of the combat exercise. Hurrying to the canteen, I double-check the itinerary for today. Cannon will be taking us out to the forest surrounding the complex. Apart from what Calbex had said before about Cannon's schedule being swapped for his, I'm not sure what to expect. Per the lesson prep instructions, we're to have a light breakfast. Part of the exercise will be foraging and hunting. I head towards the line of those queuing for their meals and see Alex at the end, eyes closed as he reads something from his STIK interface. What a perfect opportunity. I grin and creep up behind my prey. Alex is always so stoic. It would be great to see him jump a bit. I step in behind him, gauging his state as he maintains his reading. His brow furrows a little at whatever he is going over. Just as I go in for the kill, fingers reaching for his sides to make him jolt, I'm stopped. His paws grab my left hand with unnerving speed and hold it in place. Not so fast, old chum. You'll have to get up much earlier than that to catch this cat off guard. Oh, is that right? He maintains his grip on my wrist firmly, but not painfully. It's remarkable how strong he can be, given the twisted position his arm's in. I strain against the hold, but it's more a game than anything. Indeed, even blinded and distracted as I was, you have the elegance and deftness of a pachyderm. There's no way that you could have... Alex is cut off with a squeaky mew. He hadn't noticed my free hand sneaking to his dancing tail while he was giving his speech. Looks like some tricks work on all cats. His face immediately goes rosy pink. He looks incredulous as I present the captured tail to him and waggle it. I barely squeeze it before he snatches it back, glaring. Well, I guess pride cometh before the fall. I will enact a swift and terrible revenge on you, dear packmate. I swear on all my facets. Alex tries to recover some decorum amidst the laughter of the few around who heard his squeak. The promise of retaliation is as scary as it is thrilling. I'm glad that he's taking it as fun. Bring it on. I'm sure you'll be able to sneak up on me easily, given all the noise that I make. He laughs before stepping up to the assembler and inserting his STIK. He frowns at the displayed menu and then attempts to swipe the screen at the custom order section. With a dull buzz, the machine rejects the attempts and displays the original meals. He tries again only to be met with more denial, before giving up and choosing a breakfast. Stepping up and trying myself, I get fewer options myself. The readout shows that it's balanced at about half of what I'd normally be required to consume for breakfast. Not wanting to hold the queue up, I accept it and then join Alex to eat. I can assume that this may be my own night's design. He nods at my tray, then his, before he takes a bite. Both are lighter than we usually get. Since we'll be doing survival training, I guess he wants us to just barely feed to make sure that we're eager enough to forage. Trying to finish his meal demurely, he's pouting ever so slightly. Wham! I jolt as a tray slams onto the table a few inches away from me. Brute straddles the bench as he sniffs at Alex with derision. Must be such a blow that you can't eat your morning caviar, rich boy. I glance over and see that Brute has also a small portion. He notices and then puts his arm between his tray and mine. After shooting me a glare, he starts chomping into it rapidly. It's more than enough. Alex stares at Brute's display of table manners with abject horror, for a full minute before politely coughing and then continuing his own meal. I am surprised to see you joining us, Brute. The commander had been running you ragged as of late, has he not? Brute winces and chokes on his food. I'm about to hit him on the back to hell, but he shoots me a do it and die look. I hold my hands away instead and let him clear it with a gulp of water. Yeah, I've been doing additional training. I requested it and he's making sure that I succeed. What of it? He glances at me for the briefest of moments before looking away, still coughing to clear his airways. I feel uncertain if he's telling the truth or just making an excuse for avoiding me. Not that I expected him to have magically transformed from being an asshole just because he's been in mine. I wasn't going to and won't broach the topic unless he wants to. We have enough on our plates as it is with a training regimen that we don't have enough social time for me to know one way or the other. I stare at my plate disapprovingly and hurry to finish it. I'm looking forward to getting out and clearing my head. Before being moonbound, I loved going out into the wilderness with my family. Coral had been in a gold rush era of agricultural growth and frontier exploration, so there was always something to find or see. It won't be the same without them, but that didn't stop me feeling pumped. After we finished our meager meals, the three of us stand and ready to depart. I glance about, but see no sign of Eric's or Zaria. It's not too surprising, given how busy they both have been. Zaria wants to get her arms fully approved for combat, and has squeezed in an extra training that she can. Jay's and Eric's have been assisting in fine-tuning her arms and getting her ready for the assessment. Funnily enough, Eric's is the one who always looks the most exhausted afterwards. Jay's certainly keeps him running about with their seemingly endless energy and constant ideas for improvements. It isn't until we're headed to the wooded area surrounding the grounds that I spot them both. Zaria's laughter pierces through the crowd with ease. Oh, come on, Eric's. We're almost there. Now that it's scheduled for next week, we just need to pull a few more sessions and then I'll be cleared. She pulls him into a hug even as the bear huffs tiredly at her. Even if he wanted to, he doesn't appear to have the energy to resist. Did I hear that right, dear Zaria? You have your tests next week? There you all are. Yeah, I'm stoked. Eric's and the captain have really made these babies purr. I know that I'll make a huge difference in our next deployment. She flexes her arms excitedly and Eric grins. It quickly transforms into a yawn. I'm happy for you, but I really am looking forward to not getting up at the crack of dawn again. Not that I mind helping you out or anything. No, Eric's. I can't thank you both enough for all the work that you put into me, and I promise after this is over, I'm more than happy to let you sleep in. I think we've both seen more cracks recently than our last shower visit. Zaria's fresh take on letting her mouth run on autopilot has its highs and lows, seeing everyone's expression mostly made up for it. Mostly. I snap my head around to the noise, but I'm not certain who laughed. Before I can ask, a new, hearty laugh fills the air. Ha 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 ha. Come on, everyone, gather around. Can't miss me even if you tried. I think that's the last of the class, right, Alex? Yes, Knight Tobbs, that is correct. Alex tries to keep on a stoic demeanor, but I can see the corners of his mouth twitch as his tail dances. Alex walks over, stops next to him, and then stands at attention. Oh, stop that. We're in the wild. No need for formalities. Even though Cannon's posture is far more relaxed than Alex, he still towers over him. I had forgotten how big he is. Though not as tall as Cyrox, the Urson stands at least half a foot taller than Alex. His beaming smile and barrel chest cut a very inviting figure. Damn, his arms must be thicker than my thighs easily. He claps his paws and then gestures for us all to get closer, bringing us into a tighter formation near him. We're gonna have a fun simulation of being stranded planetside today. Sometimes it happens, especially to those of us at the forefront of battle. The thought of being stranded is terrifying, but Cannon's relaxed demeanor and his buoyant, almost sing-song tone makes it feel more like an adventure. In future lessons, we will travel to a variety of habitats, so you can learn how to stay safe in more extreme environments. For now, we will make sure everyone has a baseline of knowledge. He beams at us. This is also a great time to learn each other's tips and tricks. After all, you all come from so many different kinds of places. Learning what each other knows and absorbing that could help you survive when it truly counts. He fixes a stare at each of us in turn. It's hard to tell wholly what he means. His gaze has the look of someone who has seen a lot, someone who has had to do anything to keep going. Cannon's focus is immediately shattered by a small buzz emanating from the foliage. A minute black and yellow drone emerges and then flutters over to him. Oh, Bumble! There you are, my cutie. Did you and your brothers find everything? Bumble lights up and dances before Cannon, whose arm cuff lights up in response. He nods as his diminutive bot as it shares its discoveries. Okay then, continue working hard. Right, everything is ready. We're gonna hike into the woods and set up camp. My friends have confirmed everything is prepared properly, so we can head off. Cannon motions for us to follow and then starts lumbering away from the grounds. The drone zips off ahead of him. We take after him, slowly separating back into our individual packs. Cannon is surprisingly adept at disappearing and reappearing at a moment's notice to point out facts about various plants or animals. Everyone has a range of reactions to the excursion. Zaria appears fully overstimulated, swiveling her head at any and all noises and sights. She listens intently each time Cannon appears. He lectures about moss, protein-rich grubs, and how to detect poisonous or venomous things to steer clear of. Eric's keeps a good pace. Much like the larger bear, he seems at ease with long endurance matches. He doesn't look as interested in the lessons as everyone else is. Alex, on the other hand, is entirely out of his element. He flicks grime and dirt off after each activity, even as he shows interest in what is being said. He answers observational questions clearly when prompted. It isn't long until we stop for a breather and Cannon talks about the uses of a particularly wet patch of mud. Mud should never be underestimated. You can hide with it, build with it, even cook with it if you know the means. You'll always have a good time with a bit of muck. He makes a wide gesture, arms outstretched in a turn. He happens to bump Alex on the back, who promptly flails before falling face first in the aforementioned mud. Oops, sorry Alex, didn't see you there. He leans over to help the sputtering cat to his feet. As he does, I catch Cannon's eye and he winks. Did he mean to do that? Oh, of all the... Sir. I implore you, please mind your dramatic posture. I am drenched. Cannon helps Alex out by smearing off much of the mud as he can. He seems to be more rubbing it into his fur than off. I catch Brute off to the side with the biggest smirk that I've seen on him. The smirk disappears when he sees me staring and then he wanders away to talk to some others. I am a mess. I turn back to and am greeted by a very unhappy and still muddy Alex. Yes, I can see that. Really, I think brown looks good on you. Alex shoots me a glare. As he opens his mouth to reply, Zarya appears and starts babbling excitedly. Hey, I just found some moss. The type cannon says it's great for makeshift. Oh my gosh, what happened to Alex? She openly laughs and points at Alex, whose tail swishes and dances irritably. This must be some beauty regiment, right? Gotta make sure your first day's luxurious, right? I always thought that you were more graceful than this, Alex. How did you manage to? She is cut off by a clod of mud, hitting her right in the maw, making her sputter. Alex has a sinister grin on his face. Goodness! It appears I'm so clumsy that I accidentally kicked some mud your way. Do forgive my ill-coordinated feet, won't you, dear cousin? I feel catastrophe is imminent, but Candon appears on either side of them and then swings his meaty arms around their necks, drawing them both into a sidelong hug. Now, kiddies. When we get to the stream, we can wash you both off. Nothing better for bonding than communal bathing. But, until then, let us press on. So much more to see. And just like that, he releases them both, then saunters away, transitioning straight back into teaching mode as he points out a bird's nest his drones are signaling to. I really can't get a good read on this Knight. I'm not entirely certain what his objectives are. One minute he seems to be riling his own squire up, and then the next he's diffusing the building tension. We press on further. Alex, despite his initial filthy attitude following his impromptu mud bath, soon becomes an entirely different person. He no longer approaches things with an air of avoidance, finally seeming to relax. He looks like he's simply enjoying the survival lesson Cannon teaches us. He even makes a few jokes while arms deep in a hut's innards. As promised, it isn't much further until we reach a charming brook cutting through the forest. Cannon brings us all to attention with a booming clap of his paws. Alright, sweets, we've come a fair way, braved the hostile terrain and found a source of water. Now we can fortify our position and nourish ourselves. We will filter the water and then purify it by boiling. Then we can cook the forest bounties that we've claimed. He licks his lips hungrily. I admit I'm famished. The light breakfast really has made food the main thing on my mind. But of course, that means fire. Now yes, you should be able to start a fire easily in most situations. However, we are learning the worst case scenarios. So let's show you how to kindle. He goes on to have our packs gather materials to build our fires. Alex surprises me by not insisting on washing up first before we head into the brush. He catches me giving him a coy look. Yes, Corwan, what appears to be the trouble? Do I have something on my face? He gives me such an innocent expression as he speaks that I can't help but snort. A moment later, his facade breaks and we're both laughing. I'm wheezing so much that I reach out to grab onto a tree. It isn't until I manage to grasp enough air to straighten up that I realize that my sturdy tree is in fact Brute. He's looking at us both with a mix of confusion and mirth. This is some fucked up method of finding firewood, if I ever saw it. Sorry. Brute, I'm sorry. We'll start looking, I swear. He pulls his arm free from my grasp, seemingly having waited for me to stand properly before doing so. Yeah, well, you better. We gotta start a fire bigger and better than anyone else's. And we won't do that with you bent over like you're... He trails off before blushing, pivoting on the spot and then marching deeper into the forest. I feel my own cheeks flush as I guess what he was picturing. There really isn't time for thinking more on that, especially as Zarya zips past arms and hair full of twigs and sticks. Gotta get sticks! Gotta get sticks! Gotta get sticks! The blur continues past the collection point and I leap into the tree line beyond, startling another pack so much that most fall on their asses. Alex gives me one look of bemused horror, and then we're both laughing again. After a while and some more wild leaps from Zarya, Cannon gathers us around. He squats down and shows us how to build and then coax a flame using a few different methods. You've seen how easy it is to get sparks when you have something metal to scrape off of. One of the many ways your suits can assist in survival. He looks at us from over the flames at his last demonstration. He has his fatherly energy in his teachings approach. Well, maybe more of a mischievous uncle. We don't like to think of what a worse situation could be, but we must be prepared for it. Now I'm going to show you the most fundamental and primitive means to get a flame going. He tosses aside the metal and wires that we've been using and then starts grabbing a select few sticks and kindling from the pile that we've amassed in our scavenge. I can see some of you might think that this is useless to learn. Believe it or not, it wasn't so long ago that we suffered many incidents just like what I'm teaching you all about. As he snuffs out the previous fire, his expression becomes solemn for the first time. While we are doing well now in our efforts to fight them off, our history with the plague had been one of constant struggle and awful losses as we scrambled to offer defense. Even with the entire Union pulling together the greatest minds and resources from across the galaxy, our earlier attempts at diplomacy and then resistance were riddled with failure after failure. He starts shaving off some of the sticks, each sentence only punctuated with the sound of his claws carving more off. As you all know, in terms of attacking, it took us several attempts to even make a dent in one of their ships. Defense was equally poor. Our ships were designed to transport people in safety, not defend against such a hostile threat. Ships were shot down, emergency pod deployments and very ungraceful landings were common. Strandings occurred too. Communications were often down and searches had to be delayed while we tried to stop harvests. Knights and squires, alone or entire packs, could spend days to weeks or longer, awaiting rescue, often on very inhospitable worlds. Fear, paranoia, and constant vigilance for attacks, all of that weighs on one's mind. You'd be surprised how fast that can erode someone's psyche. And yes, we have made it much harder to lose track of one another with each technological stride. However, it is pertinent to still learn the art of primitive fire. With a flourish, he spins the whittled sticks rapidly in the shavings he mounted up. With only a few encouraging huffs into the pile, a glow starts to peek through. And voila! Depressing story aside, he can coax the flames of resistance even in the most dire situations. I might make it look easy, but I'm used to working with wood in my paws and friction. Don't beat yourself up if you don't get it right away. He winks at us all, and I can't be the only one thinking that was an innuendo, right? Am I that horny brain that I twist even an innocent sentence? It doesn't help that this knight has a smoldering on him hotter than the fires that he just lit. Okay, split into packs and take turns getting a fire going. Even a few sparks are good. I'll be ready to jump in and douse anything getting out of hand, so please have fun. He gestures at some buckets placed next to the stream. With a massive grin, he gives us all one of his rumbling laughs as we separate out and take our spots to practice. Alex takes his time to wash into the river, batting away Zaria's attempts at helping, while the cats groom themselves. Brute, Eric's, and I start preparing our fires. Come on, stop dozing off, you lump. You need proper kindling. I turn my head from watching the others to looking at Brute, who is hacking at some sticks with the grace of a serial killer. Eric's watches on, distracted by the horror. Oh, right, sorry. Yeah, I'll get right on that. Still seemingly unnerved by Brute's thrashing, Eric's almost absentmindedly picks up half a log and rakes his claws down it in a practice motion. A fury of wood chips and fibers fall from the log like snow as Brute and I watch in shock. Wow, Eric's. That sure is one way to do it. Now we're talking. That's great. Keep going. We'll have the biggest blaze around. Brute's dismissed and sad twig falls forgotten as he shuffles closer to Eric's. He gathers the falling debris into a pile with glee. Eric's looks confused and embarrassed at the odd encouragement. He makes eye contact with me before continuing. Sure thing. We'll want a fair bit for each of us to try. He continues to shred more of the wood, to the crackling glee of Brute below. Are you okay, Eric's? You look like you know the stuff Cannon is talking about, but you don't seem happy about it. Eric's winces, even as his paws continue to worry the log on autopilot. Yeah. This survival stuff has been taught to me a lot. Knight Tobbs isn't anything like my pa or my uncle's, in how he's teaching, of course. But it's still a little... He trails off, finishing up shredding his log and letting his paws hang loosely next to him. He jolts slightly as Alex's paw grabs his left shoulder. Well, I hope that we can rely on your expertise in this then, my friend, and in the process forge new memories. What do you say? Zaria joins us on Eric's other side and gives him a gentle, for her, bump. Yeah, can you show me how to use friction to make embers? Cannon's paws were a bit too big for me to get a look at. I think my babies could really do some work on rubbing wood and... Oh, for the stars' mercy. I will kill you, Alex. She lashes out heartily at Alex, who grinned the moment that she spoke. That was enough to get a chortle out of Eric's. Even Brute sniggers while piling the wood snow into 5 mounds. Yeah, Zaria. Come show us all how to rub it properly. Zaria whips her head towards Brute. She looks like she's about to spit something back at him, before pausing, mouth agape. You actually call me by my name for once, Brute. Brute stops his bundle building, maw half open himself before shutting it closed with a snap. Slip of the tongue. Shut up. Get to it then. He turns away and I swear that I see him blushing. He really has some childish tendencies. Despite that, the mood remains active and good. We each take turns and manage to get sparks going. Eric's makes it look easy, but it takes me a few tries before I get the speed right. The initial panic and jubilation upon seeing those hot embers starts to glow is almost overwhelming. I hurriedly give them the right amount of breaths to make them grow before feeding it some kindling. The exercise takes me back to camping on Foro. Cannon comes around and checks our progress, getting hands-on with those that can't do it alone after a few tries. Seeing him get so close and guide the others makes me a tad envious that we managed it without his direct help. Those feelings are quickly smothered when he produces fluffy, sweet treats to melt over everyone's flames. Watching the white clouds char as we hold them aloft the fires on twigs does make for a nice reward for our efforts. Alright, that seems good. You all did great. Don't tell anyone that I gave you those sugary snacks. KU nutritionists would be horrified hearing their calories. He winks at us and puts a finger to his lips. There is a murmur of laughter and giggles throughout the packs. Cannon really knows how to get people to relax. Now, we move on to cook the foraging that we did on the way. A bit of energy will keep you attentive while I show you all what to do. Like an odd wild buffet, he displays the collection of fruits, fungi, meats, and vegetables that we gathered. One by one, he gives us an overview of how best to cook them. He is meticulous in explaining the dangers of eating something either poisonous or improperly cooked, citing how they can be more deadly than a few days of holding out for rescue. There are some universal rules for what is and is not edible on any planet. The best thing you can do is observe the wildlife and see what they are eating. The larger the creature, the less likely that their diets contain foods that have larger quantities of toxins. It isn't foolproof though. That is why we've already looked at cleaning and preparing any animal that we hunt to reduce the chances of unsafe meat as much as we can with no means to check. If you can hold out, great, but you should gather while you have the energy too, and try a small amount first. An SDIK can detect a lot within its catalog, but if you lose it, you'll have to make a wise choice. He multitasks admirably, never stopping his pause while cooking during his explanations. Before long, we have a feast before us of what the forest has provided. The smell alone is tantalizing. The treat did not fill the hole left from the trek and small breakfast. Dig in. Some of these items will not be the most palpable, but they will help you sustain yourself when needs must. He grins and then pops a charred fish into his maw. We each try some, and he isn't wrong. Some are bitter, though cooking has removed a little of that. There is no seasoning either, but I'm used to that luxury missing. Overall, if I had to survive a waiting rescue, this isn't bad. Not bad at all. After polishing it all off, we then carefully put out the fires, bury the remains, and make sure that any traces that native predators on an unfamiliar world would be attracted to are removed. Fantastic. Right. You are fed. So let's start the trek back to civilization, shall we? Beaming his shit-eating grin and clapping his paws as we groan, Cannon starts herding us back the way that we came. As we make our way back through the woods, I take some time to digest what I've been shown. I feel fairly confident that I wouldn't immediately perish if I had to deal with foraging and surviving on a wild planet. It might be harder, but it certainly wouldn't be as hard as it was. Hey, Corwan, I found something. Oh, nice. Let me see. Still wrapped. Should be edible. Great find, Moros. I'm thirsty, Corwan. Hold on, Mar. You're burning up. I need to find you some medicine too. But we haven't found anything near. And further out could be. I'll find you something. Just try to keep quiet till I'm back, okay? Corwan? Yeah? I don't think anyone is coming to find us. Don't give up yet. The cavalry will come get us. You'll see. I'm so hungry. Okay, I'll go search soon. I just need to rest my eyes. Corwan? Corwan? Scans show that there's something here. Close. Sir, you need a rest. You're in no condition to... I can't just stop now. What was it all for? But sir, it's been... There can't be any. Here. There's something here. Help me lift this. Please, help me lift... Squire Stringer. I leap as someone whispers directly into my right ear, almost falling over in the process. A pair of massive arms wrap around me and arrest my slip. Whoa there, little cricket. Didn't mean to spook you. I look up at his smirking face, somewhat doubting his claim. He gently lets me go once he's certain that I'm steady. Sorry. I couldn't help myself. You were staring off so hard that I needed to coax you back to land. I've rubbed my neck, a bit uncomfortable. The sudden jolt from the bear had certainly distracted me from my memories, but I still feel a bit clammy. Yes, sorry, sir. I was just thinking of, survival methods. His eye looks me over from under the long hair obscuring his face. With that and the shade, I can't fully read his expression. I have no doubt. Well, what I was really coming over to you about was to say that you have quite a sweet scent about you. I'm sorry? He chuckles as he pats my shoulder. His firm hold directs me to keep walking, so as to not fall too far behind the group. I mean it. I can tell my own special brand quite well. I'll have you know, I have smelt it on you the entire lesson. I turn my head to the right to look at him as his paw still graces my left shoulder. I fight every urge in my body to blush. The closeness doesn't help. His cheeky grin and the way that he spoke had this underlining current to it that made it hard to figure out what he meant. So, I imagine Calbix must be wanting a top-up, Oh. I finally get what he's alluding to and fumble with my pack. I present the nearly empty jar that I'd taken from Calbix this morning. Of course this is what he meant. Cannon's eyes shine with mirth as he takes the jar from me. He licks the sticky spot with a digit, with what I can only consider to be insidious intent. A moment later, though, his expression falls as he stares at the jar's label, and he suddenly looks tired and sad. I wish that I could do more for my friend than just keeping him rich in honey. There you are, Esmeralda. Thank you. He addresses one of the drones that buzzes over, carrying an amber-filled jar with slight difficulty. Good. I see. Tell the others then, and see about deploying the hive. Good job. He lets the drone nuzzle his paws for a moment before it bumbles off, disappearing out of sight once more. His gaze lingers on the spot before he turns and places the jar in my hands. He wraps his paws around mine, holding them while fixing me with a stare. Calbix is a good man, Corwan, but he's also become a stick in the mud since he's been back. Doesn't socialize or do the things he likes anymore. His expression softens as he gives my hand a squeeze. We might not be as close as we were, but I can tell that he's starting to wag the tail again. Open up. So, I am asking you as a favor, to keep on doing whatever you are doing. Coax him back to us. Not as an order, just as a friend who is very much wanting his buddy happy, and to go back to spending good evenings and wild nights like they used to. He tilts his head off to the side, considering me, and then gives me an apologetic grin. I hope that you don't think that I'm putting too much on you. From what I've seen and heard, you have just the right stubborn streak in you, as he does, for getting things done. He releases me and then puts his paws on his hips, observing me as I digest what he's asked and said. I still don't think that I have a good read on the Knight. He's kind but mischievous and seems to have agendas that I'm not able to figure out. But I do believe him when he says that he cares about Calbix. Sir, you can trust me. I want to help Calvix in all the ways that I can. I'll do whatever it takes. He beams at me. Before I can resist, I'm pulled into the large Urson's arms and given the most enveloping bear hug that I've ever had. Even through his uniform, I can smell hints of sweetness and musk from his fur. Coupled that with how he happily rocked me certainly brings a blush to my cheeks when he releases me. Good lad. Alright, let's catch up with the others. I have a nice treat for you all. He gives me another wink and arm pat before turning and lumbering off, yelling ahead to the squires that are just leaving the forest and entering back into the KAU compound. I swear, more than any other knight that I've met, this bear wants me to keel over. I take a moment to gather myself before following after. Okay everyone, you did great. We will be doing more intense survival training in other climates across Ulsid as well. Mixing it up with combat practice and other simulations will give you all as much experience as possible in the event that you are stranded. However, for the rest of the day... He pauses until every eye is watching him nervously. You are all excused from duty. Go have some fun, as long as your knights don't have anything for you. There is a collective sigh of relief, quickly replaced by murmurs of excitement as squires start discussing what to do with their unexpected free afternoon. So, what's the plan? You want to do something? Zarya bounds up excitedly, followed by the three others. Even Brute looks a tad happy. It would be nice to get out and relax. Maybe we could get into Densis. I hear that there are bars that give squires discounts. Iris looks sheepishly excited. His ears wag in a hopeful, playful manner that is so endearing. I shake my head. I've got bears on the brain now. Yeah, that could be fun. We don't have any scheduled sessions tomorrow, so I don't think Jace would mind. I am certain. Cannon had already signed off on not giving me anything until tomorrow evening. A trip into the city would be most welcome. Shall we? Alex is back to his usual decorum, though his tail swishing tells of his excitement. The group looks at Brute. Although he's standing with his arms crossed and a scowl on his face as usual, his tail wags just enough to suggest interest. I have to watch out so that you all don't make fools of yourselves, don't I? So I'll have to come along. He growls impatiently as his tail gives him away. I'm not sure if he thinks that he's even getting away with it. Well then, that sounds splendid. Shall we reconvene in an hour? That works. I need to deliver something to my knight anyway, and I can ask if I'm clear to go. With a nod, Alex sighs happily. Ah, yes. I need to have a proper shower to feel fully clean and presentable. After a faux glare towards his knight, who only bats his eyelids innocently, Alex starts to head off his way. The rest of us take off, hurrying to our respective homes. As I near the house, I can hear impact against wood echoing from the back. Heading around the back, I am presented with quite the sight. Calvix is in front of the training dummy, his stance set wide, chest exposed, as he lays siege on the wooden enemy with two practice axes, perfectly moving back into position after each swing. He's mesmerizing to watch. This is the first time that I've seen him in action. It's easy to see that he earned his titles. Every strike is swift, deadly, and with an unwavering grace. I can only tell that he favors his right side because he mentioned it. The difference in strikes are small. If I wasn't aware, I doubt that I'd have been able to tell. The axes aren't the only weapons around. The rack is full of a whole assortment of arms, all new practice versions, from what I can see. It looks like they've all been used in this session. I stare for a couple of minutes. After all, how could I not admire my knight in action? He stops after a few more swings. He pants, arms hanging loose by his sides. Towel, please. Corwan. Some towels are draped over the edge of the deck railing. I hurry to grab a few and then bring them to Calvix. I pause. May I? I await as he considers. After he gives me a small nod, I step forward. I pass him the smaller of the two towels before I move to wipe down his back, taking note to use a lighter rub on his left. That was amazing, Calvix. How long have you been going at it? Just a moment. I need to record this. I hadn't noticed his STI case sitting on a nearby table. A few hollow screens float above it. I can only assume that he was transmitting to them. He must have something set up to record his movements. I nod silently and let him finish, concentrating on mopping him down as best as I can. Eventually, he stops me so that he can return the axes to the rack before regarding me properly. Sorry, Corwan. I wanted to make sure that I got everything organized. How went the training? Well, Knight Tobbs went easy on us, I think. He's really odd. He's not bad. In fact, he's really kind, but I couldn't understand some of the things that he did. Kalbix chuckles as he dries his head. Emerging from under the towel, his ears spring back up. He drapes the towel around his shoulders and looks up into the sky as he considers his reply. Canon Tobbs is an unorthodox knight. You're not the first, nor the last, that he's confused. He delights in keeping folks on their toes. He always has a reason. When I met him, I didn't get him either. He would play pranks or cause friction between other squires, seemingly at random. He walks over to the table, then picks up his STIK, cycling through some of the windows as he continues. I didn't see it at first, but Canon has incredible insight and judgment. He can tell when someone needs a push, or where friction actually helps air things out. He smiles wistfully, followed by a sadder frown. He always knows what you need far sooner than you will. He always had my back, even when I stubbornly thought that he was being a chaotic influence. He drifts off, and I'm reminded of what Canon had said earlier. I take out the jar and then move to place it on the table in front of Kalbix. The smiling bear label beams up at him. I don't think that's changed. He still cares. You could always... His ears flick as he reaches for the jar. He holds it in his right paw almost reverently, like he's afraid that it'll break. I know it's just hard when there's been so much space and time, and I'm not the same wolf that I was. He's just dead. I'm not exactly sure what to say. I reach out instinctively to console him, but hesitate before placing my hand very carefully on his left midsection, right over some of the coarse fur. He flinches a little, even though he's seen my hand, but he doesn't pull away. I think he's still there, still recovering. Knight Tobbs won't mind, either. If he's as insightful as you say, he knows that you'll do it when you're ready. He nods and we stand silently for a moment. I don't have any idea how to help more, so we just linger, each of us in quiet contemplation. So what brought up the practice? Would you like me to put the weapons away, or... I'd almost forgotten the pack's plan. If Kalbix needs me, I'll have to tell them that I'm busy. More preparation for the next session. I've gone through the data from all your squires, checked against prior experience preference, and my own judgment to come up with a training plan for each of you. I need to reacquaint myself with each weapon, and the attack patterns that I plan to teach first. He lifts up his STIK and shakes it slightly. I've recorded it all, and I'm going through the data to finalize it, plus it's good to, get practice in. My eyes widen. It sounds like he's really done a lot of work. I wonder if he had planned to have this done before the first session, but the change threw his schedule off. Or perhaps he planned this because he wanted to make a better impression next time. Either way, it was impressive. Wow, that's amazing. So, what can I do to help? If you need it, that is. Kalbix looks at me as he considers. I try not to twitch as I wait. Well, I do suppose that you could put all these away. I also need my evening meals cooked as I take a bath, so there is that. My heart sinks somewhat. I resolve to spend the evening at home with Kalbix before I catch him staring at me. Why the long face? Surely you don't have anything else planned? Well, I'm happy to help, Kalbix. What would you like me to start on first? He ponders again before covering his muzzle with a paw and chuckling. I can't keep this up. Knight Tobbs has already messaged me about giving you the evening off, and he expects all of you to go out and have fun. Go on, get ready. I am more than capable of handling myself for an evening. He gives me a softer look before glancing towards the practice weapons. Really, have a good, fun night. It's important to have time to distress from all of it. It takes a second before what Kalbix said sinks in. Cracking into a grin, I hold off on whooping and instead make my way to the glass door that leads into the kitchen. I open it and then pause. I turn my head to call back to Kalbix. You should heed your own advice sometime, my knight. You deserve it just as much. I enter and practically bounce through the kitchen and then up the stairs, not looking back to see how he reacted. It needed saying, but he'll have to process that one himself. Densis is a short journey on the mag rail from the KU complex. The sleek tube drifts over the grassy path like a lazy dragonfly. There are a fair few packs on board, also heading into the city. It seems like everyone had the same idea to travel in and explore. Zaria bounces from one side of the rail to the other, trying to look at every new sight that we pass by. She occasionally drags one of us with her to stare, if she thinks that we'd be interested. Her spirit is infectious. It isn't long before I abandon trying to sit down and instead stand, looking out eagerly myself. In the heart of the city, it is calming to see everyday life thriving. People walk the grassy streets, dine at cafes, and shop casually with an air of serenity that I all but had forgotten. On every corner and crosswalk, fruits hang ripe on the trees and vines growing there. Canopies from the interlocking trees form draped areas that make some districts appear cool and mysterious. Glancing up at the taller high-rise buildings, colorful bursts of candle-like flowers emerge from the climbing plants. It makes each building look like its own individual ecosystem. I wonder how it's done. How does one orchestrate construction and integration with plants so intricately? I bet Cannon would know, or maybe Maros. I should message him later and ask. Ah, here we go. We should disembark here. Alex draws our attention as we come to a gentle stop and the doors hum open. We hurry to depart to allow fresh passengers aboard. I take in the area that we've stopped in. My brain tries to reconcile the feeling of being in the wilderness and a metropolis at the same time. Streams cut paths through the vegetated streets, and everywhere I look, I can see so many varieties of colorful plants and birds. Billboards and bright lights cut through the forested vibe and advertise anything from the latest cologne to upcoming events. The juxtaposition is bizarre, but wonderful in its own way. Come on. Brute gives my shoulder a bump as he walks past, just enough to jostle me from my staring. I jog to catch up. Alex takes us down a few streets before pivoting down a smaller archway. It opens into a square with scintillating smells emanating from a stall set up on one corner. Alex confidently strides up to the vendor and, after a brief exchange, returns to us with a variety of foods on skewers. Here we go. My intrepid packmates, a secret taste out of the ordinary, courtesy of my knight's recommendation. Knight Tobbs says that they use a very flavorful glaze. He hands each one of us one in turn. I'm hit with the savory aroma now that it's up close. The stick holds cubes of alternating foods, and the whole thing is covered in a syrupy sauce that has an iridescent sheen to it. Zaria is examining hers intensely, no doubt trying to figure out the individual components of her meal. Eric's and Brute are already a third of the way done with theirs. I catch Alex's eyes and we toast with our skewers before indulging. I am surprised by the initial sourness to the bite. From her expression, Alex wasn't expecting it either. As I chew more, the sourness gives way to a rich, sweet and savory flavor that goes oddly well with the first meat chunk. The next bite gives a totally different experience as the glaze works with the toasted vegetable cube to highlight the sweet notes. It's an addictive experience. Each piece pairs perfectly with the sauce, but in a totally unique way that makes it very refreshing. When I'm done, I'm half tempted to go get another. Knight Tobbs was spot on. That was amazing. Eric licks his lips with a look of pure bliss. I offer my agreement to. Yeah, that was the best thing that I've ever had. I could never get tired of it, the way that it kept changing. Brute nods his head too, still chewing and sucking on the skewer to get the last bit of taste out. The rest of us have disposed of ours. Fuck, that is good shit. You could eat it over and over and wouldn't get sick of it. Good call, Alex. Alex's eyebrows rise so high that I think that they'll take off and fly away, but he remains silent. He then checks his STIK and lightly coughs to clear his throat. Indeed, I am glad that sated our bellies. If I have this right, it is a short walk to our destination. Ah yes, this way. Pointing across the square, he leads us forth with confidence. As we follow our tour guide, we take in the sights as we go. The streets are tighter here. Each building is stacked close, creating narrow passages and hidden spots throughout. Several of the alleys that we pass have trellises stretching between buildings, connecting them like webs. Creeping plants grow and dangle from them, creating areas of shadow that feel secretive and alluring in the setting sun's light. I can't help the anticipation and excitement bubbling up as we delve deeper. It's as we're passing another alley entrance in our labyrinthine progress that my eyes catch the lights of a place that must have just opened. Already a few people are filtering in or hanging outside. My gaze is about to pass over them as the pack presses on, but something in my mind makes me take a second look. On actual inspection, I see that most of the patrons are scantily dressed, some wear harnesses and others instead have on tight or leather-clad clothing. I squint to read the signs above the door. Tanned leather. My brows shoot up as I realize that it must be a place to revel in some more robust activities given the clientele. Corwan, keep up. It's just down this way. I've stopped long enough at the sight that I'm about to lose them as they progress further and down another turn. I tear my gaze away from the enticing place to respond. Sorry, My reply is cut short as out of the corner of my eye I see someone entering the hidden place that I feel that I recognize. I snap my head back to look. Surely it wasn't. Come on, Corwan. I can see it. I have to turn and jog to catch up. It was only the briefest of glimpses, but I could have sworn that I saw Alex's Knight going into a leather place. I was only curious before, but I am very interested now. My mind starts to imagine what kinds of things happen within those walls. My stupor is shaken as Azaria grabs me by the right shoulder and points to our destination with her other paw. Look, isn't it amazing? I follow her gesture and look at where Alex has led us. At first I think he's brought us to a tree, a large, thick tree that stretches upwards to rival the surrounding buildings. However, as my gaze rises to look at the boughs and leaves, I realize that it isn't a tree at all, rather not completely. The leaves pulse and throb with light patterns emanating from them to some beat that I can't hear. The trunk, I realize, has a large door carved, or maybe grown into it. There is already a queue starting to form along the side of the club, with Zaria dragging me eagerly forward. We all make our way to join. Music is pumping out, though it's muffled by the foliage so much that it can barely be heard. Alex proudly puffs out his chest upon completing his scheduled Wayfinder mission. Nector is a long-established club and bar that has been a frequent watering hole for KAU squires for years. The decor is supposed to be awe-inspiring as well. I think you, Erix, will appreciate the engineering that has gone into making this place. He smiles very self-congratulatory at us and pats Erix on the back, whose ears are wiggling as he looks ahead to the entrance. I can tell that he isn't the most used to this kind of thing, but now he looks at least interested in the place. Zaria is in the same situation. Her excitement for this new experience is much more visible as she vibrates. Unable to contain her energy, she chats up the folks in front of us as the queue moves forward. I smile, seeing them all eager to relax. Brute, however, is back to a guarded mode. His arms are crossed as he examines those in front and behind, like they're possible adversaries, rather than fellow clubgoers. Come on, Brute. This doesn't strike me as your first rodeo. I whisper to him as we wait. He gives me a look of total derision before shaking his head and sighing. No, I've been out plenty. It's usually a waste of time and credits. If you let your guard down in the wrong place, you end up getting fucked over. Before I can respond, he raises a paw. Look, I know this is different. At least they're playing decent music, but don't expect me to get all chummy and start acting like a fool. You can't be too careful. I shut my mouth and let him return to his vigil. I was about to say that Nectar will of course be safe, but I've seen enough bars and folks on my moon getting blind drunk. I know you can go too hard and end up regretting it. Maybe a few drinks will unclench him a little, but if he wants to watch our backs, then I feel like I can trust him. Ah, here we go. They can verify our status through a STIK scan. Present them to the doorman for entry. I turn back to the front and see Alex has already taken his out. He holds it towards the bouncer, who is a formidable bovine male. Even with the tight suit and impressive horns, his demeanor is relaxed and welcoming as he scans the presented STIK. He confirms KAU membership and then ushers Alex to enter before he does the same for Erix and Zaria. There you go, bud. Yep, all scanned. Welcome, Squire, and enjoy yourself. Nectar prides itself on providing the utmost care for everyone, so if we cut you off, accept it and enjoy the vibe. He winks at me as he lets me pass, and I feel myself blush. Damn, I really need to blow off some steam soon. if a wink makes me flustered now. The hallway towards the club proper is pulsing with soft lights. It makes the corridor inviting, but also slightly intimidating. Brute is the last to be let through. Altogether, we make our way to the doors ahead. The room feels like a secret hive. A lattice of support beams spiders its way upwards into a dome far above. Right in front of us is the dance floor, which is already filled with people. They're laughing, drinking, and dancing to the music from above. The focal point of the room, an entire tree, has been built or grown to fill the room. Much like the exterior of this tree also has some engineering done to it. The shine and glow from the leaves thrum in time with the music, which is emanating from a platform in the upper regions. A wolf bounces and bops between the various machines, weaving and alternating the track to elicit excitement from the crowd. Streams of vibrant liquids pour from the ceiling into the pools below. Just from the smell, it must be alcoholic. Indeed, I spy plenty of revelers filling their glasses, and I'm curious how it tastes. Seeing so many people have uninhibited fun makes me grin, and I'm determined to have at least some time on the floor myself. Alex leads us up to a staircase to the upper balcony, choosing a seating section with comfortable plush sofas. More glowing plants dot the area, and it's hard not to be mesmerized by the neon pulsing. Several also gushing fluids in cascades. We are about level with the DJ's booth, and also have a great view of the dance floor below. As we settle in, Alex thumbs his earring. Within a few moments, the table at the center of our seating area opens up. A tray of drinks rises from its steps with some mist adding to the presentation. Zarya and Irax coo at the spectacle, though I see Brute rolling his eyes. He doesn't hesitate to take a glass when offered. Alex stands up in front of us and raises his glass. I propose a toast. To Malpat. To each of you for making it a pleasure to be in, and for making me proud to stand next to you in combat. We raise our glasses and then take a drink. It's carbonated and fruity, and wow, it packs a punch. Oh, that is good. Drinks are on me this evening, so please feel free to enjoy all the tastes Nectar has to offer. The streams are supposedly color-coded for strength. Red is stronger and blue is weaker. He gestures behind us where an aqueduct weaves its way around the backs of the seating area. The liquid flows past us, is currently glowing a vibrant green. I had assumed that it was merely for show. I leaned over to get a closer look and see Zarya excitedly picking up a glass from the bank and dipping it in. I do the same and then bring the sweet-smelling liquid to my lips and drink. It is mild and crisp, not as strong as the first glasses that we'd had. Oh my gosh, it's true. I thought you were pulling my leg, Alex. This is incredible. She giggles with such childlike wonder that I can't help but laugh as well. The whole club certainly has a whimsy to it that I've never seen before. They must have spent a lot on the bioengineering. The lighting system alone would have cost a lot to get right. Eric's mumbles as he looks deeply into the waters. I imagine he is more excited for the architecture than the drinks. This is very kind of you, Alex. You don't have to pay for us. I'm happy to cover myself. Alex gives my left knee a pat as he sits down next to me, crossing his right leg over the other. He then leans back against the cushions. It is perfectly all right. I suggested the place, so it's only right to. Yeah, if the princeling wants to pay for us, let him. Brute smacks his lips, which are now glowing green. I look at the stream and imagine he chugged a few gulps the instant Alex had agreed to pay. He seems more than happy with the arrangement. I just shrug and decide to toast another drink with Alex. Let Brute be Brute then. I am not a prince, Brute. It is true that my system is affluent, and my family certainly is higher on the social ladder, as it is to say. He swirls his drink a little as he continues to mull. All that comes with more pressure to achieve a good name and make sure the jewelry box that is our family remains in good standing. Splurging on occasion is a fair enough deal, I should think. He smiles and finishes his drink. Brute snorts, already using his STIK to order another round. Boo-hoo, my lordship. Cry me a golden river. Brute. He gives her a scathing look. What? There are far worse things than having too much money and some expectations. You think that I should feel bad because he has a hard life? Well, he fucking doesn't. The wolf swipes a new drink as soon as it ascends, and then downs it in a single gulp. So much for not acting foolish. I agree, Brute. I have nothing to complain about, especially when so many others are in dire straits. It's one of the main reasons that I signed up. I wanted to clear the scourge of the plague away so that we can go back to improving everyone's well-being, not just my own. Here. I agree, Alex. Obviously the fights take precedence, but we should be looking to a time when the fighting is over and we can do other things. Erix looks uncomfortably between Alex and Brute. He's trying to smooth things over, while also getting his point across. I haven't ever thought about afterwards. What would I do if the plague was defeated? What even was there? The looming enemy was always so present in my mind that there was no room for beyond. What fucking comes after? I jolt as Brute echoes my own inner monologue. He drains another glass from the stream, which I note is now an orange hue. There is only the fight. That is all that we should be focused on, not some fantasy where we all get to go home and live happily ever after. Even when we do win, there are still going to be those that were lost, still those in need. The fight won't be done. Brute, you're not wrong. Maybe that is what we do after then. Help rebuild, put things back together. Can't reclaim everything that is gone, but we can still help. She looks down at her paws, clenching and unclenching them in her lap. She certainly has something that she can't get back, but she is still pressing forwards. That is a commendable goal. I wasn't trying to downplay any other person's circumstances and what they have lost. But after the plague is done, after we defeat them, we can continue to make this galaxy a better place by helping everyone affected. Sounds good? I'll cheer to that. To helping others so that the next generation can grow up without all the shitty fallout of the plague. Here. And fuck the plague. Here. We chuckle, toast our glasses, and then the tension falls away. We have more drinks, many more down Brute's gullet. The system eventually cuts him off, but he swipes a few from me from time to time. It's fun. It's actually fun and nice to just chill out. Zaria stops drinking after a particularly vulgar joke makes her cackle so loudly that the next table all turn around. She blushes so hard that she makes the glowing plants seem dull. Erix can handle his booze. Even towards the end of the evening, he is still his cute and awkward self, though maybe a little more relaxed. Alex remains refined throughout. When I try to coax him to the dance floor, he takes one look at the chaotic mess of gyrating bodies and politely declines, citing that he would agree in a more formal setting. Which prompts Brute to, in his own way, heavily encourage Alex by literally dragging him into the crowd. After pushing through and finding them, I see Brute letting loose and whipping his head back and forth to an almost violent degree. Alex gives me a look of utter pain and then sighs. He starts a few simple moves back and forth, still stiff. After Zaria and Erix find us, we too start to dance and laugh, and just give into whatever movements that we want to. Tonight is a good night. When we leave, Brute is very much over his limit. It appears that I wasn't the only one that he'd been swiping drinks from. On the mag rail back, he leans against us all in turn, giggling at his own jokes. I'm glad the carriage is empty as they range from childish to vulgar. When we get back to the KAU compound, I offer to make sure Brute makes it back to the commander's home. The others depart with a wave. Come on, Mutt. Let's get you back to your night, eh? I sling the droopy wolf's arms over my shoulders to support him as I half carry him, half wobble him on our way. We only teeter a little. Oh yes, Ben is so good. He takes me seriously. Oh, I bet he does. You both seem very intense. No, really. He likes it when I say how much I fucking hate the plague and listens to my ideas for aggressive engagement. Boom. We veer as he waves his free paw wildly, looking at the sky as if he could see explosions light it up. That's so, eh? Well, I'm glad that's true. They deserve all the pain that they've caused back and then some. Brute stops so suddenly that I almost fall over. I manage to hold on and then look at his face, which is now locked on mine and steely. Yeah, fuck him. You know what I mean. You lose a shit at all. all gone. Shucks. Yeah, I know. It really does. I lost her too. He whispers into his chest as he leans back on me and I slowly start moving us again. You lost someone as well? Sophia. She's my sister. Was my sister. I loved her so much. I pat him with the arm holding his waist as I struggle to keep us going. I can feel wetness falling on my cheeks, but I give Brute the grace to not look at him while he continues. Funny thing is, our planet wasn't even valuable. They didn't want us. They wanted our star. A star siege. That must have been what he's going on about. When the plague go after a star, they don't back down and will obliterate anything that comes near. They usually strike other systems as well. The aim is to split our attention and forces, stalling any attempts to mount a coordinated resistance. Meanwhile, the plague swarms our target system, digging in, taking over planets or moons, and using them to mount devastating blows against any aid. The largest concentration surrounds the star and starts siphoning everything from it. It is brutal and frantic, and the worst show of the plague's insidiousness. In the process, the system that belongs to it dies, even if the plagues are driven away. The changes to a star mass can ruin every planet orbiting it. Union fought them, yeah. Hard. They won in the end, but our planet had been cut off from supplies for so long. She got sick. Medicine never came and she just... He trails off and I feel more wetness splashing down on me. I move us forward. I know from experience, sometimes you don't want words in return. You just want to get it all out. Thanks, Corwan, for what you did and everything. You saved me. You did everything it took. So yeah, thanks and shit. Yeah, you're welcome, Brute. But don't ever expect that again. We gotta do better next time. We can't rely on that method ever again. It's far too risky. We were lucky we didn't get caught. Oh yes, I know. Although I have to say that fan. The door we're approaching opens at that moment, and the commander looms in the doorway. Well, look what got dragged home. Oh fuck, he's totally nude. Am I having a fever dream? Fenn's eyes dart across me, Brute, then to me again, and back to Brute. He crosses his arms and tilts his head to the left. So you two were out gallivanting, Think getting drunk off your tits is a proper use of your time? I can see past him, into his house. The corridor is very similar to Calbix's, though he seems to have more picture frames on the wall. And why is he naked? I keep trying to find something to concentrate on, or rather than letting my eyes wander. Yes, sir. I mean, no, sir. We were given leave by Knight Tobbs and decided to spend some time in the city. Yes, sir. That's right. We went for some drinks and dancing to help with pack synergy and motivation. That's all. Fenn's eyes bore into me as I keep my gaze on his, hoping that I can maintain it. Just keep looking at his face, Corwan. Drinks and dancing only? His right eyebrow rises slowly, like a blade ready to snap down on my neck before he finally cracks a grin. Relax. I am aware. You're off duty and you are entitled to some R&R. I'll take him from here, Squire Stringer. His gaze leaves me and I feel like I can breathe again. Without a single sign of effort, he takes Brute and slings him over his shoulder. No, I can't walk, sir. I'm sorry. Enough. Fenn barks at Brute, who goes limp on him. He turns into the doorway, stopping before pivoting his head to the left, hopefully not catching me checking his other assets out. You get back to your own place now, Squire. I expect maximum effort in the next training session now that you all have relaxed. Understood? Yes, sir. I salute, spit on the spot, and then practically run for it. My cheeks are so hot. Does he just walk around his home naked all the time? I wouldn't get anything done if Calbix did that. Holy fuck. By the time that I get home, my cheeks have stopped flushing. I feel a damn sight more sober. It's not that late, but I don't want to disturb Calbix if he's already resting. I wince a little as the door slides open with a creak and then sneak in. I take off my shoes slowly and deliberately and then place them quietly next to the others. I start creeping towards the stairs as softly as I can. However, there is a light coming from the kitchen. How did I not see that? Corwan, you're back? Ah, yeah, Kelbex, I'm home. I thought you might be asleep already, so I was trying to be quiet. That's all right. Can you come in here before you head up? His tone is slightly stiff, but it could be from calling from another room. I walk through and see that he sat by the window with his final tonic for the day, nursing it. Please sit down. I move over to sit in the chair opposite of him, the buzz from the night starting to burn away. He looks anxious or embarrassed. I take my place and look at him quizzically. So, I need to have a talk with you. Commander Fenn came over earlier. Oh, fuck. What? He didn't seem pissed off when I saw him. He was more pleasant than normal, even. But could he... I know what happened during the battle, and, we need to talk. Okay, now I can say it. Oh... I want to know, first and foremost, if he's saying that I know, like, I know you and Brute, you guys did the deed in order to not, let Brute die. Or I know that you guys battled and stuff like that. Because if I recall correctly, that little detail of what he did with Brute was the only thing that he left out. So... Cryptid. But yeah. It's nice to see them, behave like a team and not, be at each other's throats like they were at first. Well, not even each other, because the four of them were getting along fine and Brute was the only one that was, always instigating. But now it kind of seems like he's okay with it, He kind of seems like he's more amicable. Like he's now willing to be part of the team and less like, oh no, I have to be by myself, Yeah. I still say Calvix is my main interest, but I do like Brute. Not because he's brutish, but because there is a reason why he's the way he is. And that feels like it's worth exploring. Because at the same time, it kind of, it's very similar to what Corwan went through, but it kind of seems like, they went through different ways of dealing with it. But yeah, we'll see as the story continues to progress. What else? I'm not sure if this is going to be 2 videos or just one really long one, so we'll see. Also, I'm recording this even though I said that I wanted to take a break, and everybody basically, thankfully, said like, yeah, take a break, But like, me, I can't take a break. But yeah. Anywho. What else? I am thankful that people did understand. But yeah. I do like the Knight canon. Is canon Tobbs, or yeah. The more that I read the story, the more that I can see that it the knights were chosen with the purpose to either contrast or to not just contrast, but to sort of help their squires, because we have Alex, who is very rigid, who is very prim and proper, and then we have Knight Tobbs, Canon Tobbs, who's very, he likes to prank, he likes to mess with people, but he also knows what people need. He knows when to, step back and say like, oh yeah, I don't want to push it too much, but also be like, you need to lighten up a little. And after the whole, pushing accidentally Alex into the mud, it kind of seemed like he did it on purpose to get Alex, to get his stick out of his ass and, just enjoy it and, relax. It was kind of obvious that Eric's would have more or less already known what Knight Tobbs was trying to teach him, or teach the packs, because he also went through like the same type of training. He said that his dad would constantly like tell him or train him in these things. Also nice to see in general that the pack is getting along well. Zarya being more comfortable in herself and her hands. And it's kind of cool that they're working on letting her be able to use her hands as a weapon, because that is her weapon. But also making it so that she doesn't feel like that she has to fight against her own body in order to fight. But yeah. Anywho. So what are your thoughts? Write it down in the comments, and thank you all for watching/listening. If you would like to play in Finite Space yourself, you can do so by going down into the link in the description, which will have a direct link for the itch.io page where you can download the game and play it yourself. Or just look for it on itch.io yourself. They do have a Patreon, so you get early access to builds of Infinite Space, along with like your name in the credits, and then depending on the tier, you get like a little custom icon. And in case you guys haven't noticed, the people with those custom icons, they appear in the CGs. So like from time to time, I think they'll pick out people and like commission a CG with the people that are in the highest tier, I think. If I'm not mistaking this for another visual novel, but yeah, yeah. That also reminds me, I need to talk to Cryptid. Anyways, but yeah, so also, if you want to watch these videos as they're being scheduled, you can do that by joining and becoming a channel member, which does help support the channel and me. You don't have to, but it does help. That link will be down in the description, as well as the Ko-fi, in case you just want to be like, hey, I like your videos, but I don't have enough money to support you monthly, so here, have some money. And also Throne, I do have to put more books on there, and I do have to get a bookcase soon, because I just now have books laying on the floor, and I don't want that. Anyways, but yeah, so I guess that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.